So as I stated earlier, concrete is a poetic material. But poetry needs a rhythm or a bass or words to sort of link it up together. And steel is the element that do it. Obviously, we don't see steel when we use concrete, but the idea is that whenever steel is used as an element, it sort of adds gracefulness to the building. And we've been using steel more and more as we move ahead in the recent past, because primarily the availability was always an issue. Now that is there. Also the durability and the long lasting. Now there are paints which can keep it rust free. So that is how steel is sort of picking up momentum.
So can you share any specific examples of how you have used steel in your design or your projects?
Okay. So like I say, we've used steel in greenfield projects. We've used steel when we need large spans, when we need to take heavy material. Steel gives you flexibility. Steel gives you lightness. Unfortunately, concrete, the bigger you go, the heavier it becomes. So the problem in concrete is you have to first support concrete before you can support something else beyond it. So that is the case where concrete has its benefits, but you have to understand where to go into what and how to take it ahead. And steel there sort of takes a plus point, and we've used it. We're also starting using steel a lot in retrofitting. Now, retrofitting as an architect is not a strength, but we've been doing certain projects with numerous clients now. More of less brownfield, where you got a structure, you got an envelope, due to certain conditions, you cannot rework on that envelope. You want to make the building modern. Steel comes as the savior there. Steel can take any form you want. It becomes lightness. It supports what is old also. It seamlessly integrates. Concrete is not something that you can integrate into an existing structure. So it still looks beautiful. See, at the end of it, we want someone who comes to any building sort of to appreciate the materials, see the materials. We don't like making a nice steel building and then putting false ceiling. So we try to show the material in its raw form, because that's pure power. That is, the false ceiling acts more like a makeup, and it sort of hides your errors. So you have to be more careful, and steel gives you that certain flexibility. Now there is a lot of products that you get in steel, from diameters of sizes to different strengths. Cotton steel is one which you can experiment with, and can be used more versatility. So we use it for that. We use it in retrofitting. We also use it for facades. Glass is a very good material for facade, but it's got a lot of drawbacks, especially in the Indian context. A glazing wall is like the easiest way for many people to come out of a structure. Cheap also, it's very cheap. But then you have to get the benefits out of it. You need something in front, something what is done traditionally all across in India, where you had a wood as a material which is sort of create a baffle. Today, wood is expensive, and though it is a green product, we won't be able, even if we plant it today, we won't be able to use it in our lifetime. So steel is something which can be used. It is recyclable. That is something which concrete loses out a bit on that. It can be only used to refill or fill up roads, so steel can be reused, and it can be effortlessly done. That is the benefit of, in whichever context you want, steel can be merged into it to create a masterpiece.
So are there any architects or architectural projects that have inspired your interest in steel design? Your thoughts?
Steel was always a European product to sort of speak of. They used to do nice buildings in steel, and unfortunately India could not do it. When we travel both for architecturally, also you understand, how come this column is so light? You would have double the size of column when we come to India, whether it's steel or it's concrete, the same product. How come it doesn't work out? Because beauty is again there in proportion, and you lose that proportion once you go out of it. So you always study that. There are people like Calatrava who done numerous experiments in that. again, they're experiments done from intuition, like how Antonio Gaudi did his structures, more in concrete, but how do you do them? Once computers come into it, your intuition comes a little bit at the back. You have to get that balance correct of intuition versus your brain versus I versus AI. That's what I always say. Intelligence versus artificial intelligence. So we should look up for that. Though nowadays I think we should look up to ourselves and strive for us to go to a level ahead than trying to copy what is done in the West. We got the brains, why not get it done the correct way?
So, in what ways does designing with steel impact the construction timelines and costs compared to other materials?
Timeline wise, steel cuts down timeline. Steel helps you in two things. One, you have to be perfect. Concrete, till the last minute, do changes, all that. Steel doesn't allow you that flexibility, which is good in one way. People cannot change that often. Both that's for the client as well as for the architect. I think the structural designer is happy when he knows there's steel. So otherwise, you just wait or let the foundation happen. Then you say, okay, take one offset or take a cantilever. But with steel, that is there. You need more planning, which is something which we as Indians lack on. हो जाएगा, हो जाने वाला है, but at what cost and at what? Yeah. So that slowly sleeping in, it's not sort of, the tap is not completely open, but slowly seeping into the psychic of both the designer as well as the executor. So it cuts down the time a lot. Steel is something that does, that's why steel in formwork is, again, you don't look at steel as that, but steel as formwork is also again something that helps cut down time for concrete. Cost-wise, steel is still a little expensive. I think one of the later questions, I'll come to that way. But steel is a little bit expensive. But see, nowadays, as what Mr. Rattan said, L1 is not the criteria in certain areas. The government still follows L1, but you have to look at the bigger picture. Time, energy, effort, and the final product. If all those four are coming even into L2, I think it's much better than a L1. So that is something which one has to understand, that paying a 15% or 20% premium and getting a better structure is not the end of the world.
How do you stay updated on the latest developments and trends in steel-based architecture and design?
Okay, so one of the things is magazines. Your magazine is one of them. There are other magazines, but they are more online. There are very few in hard copies that we do. There is an advantage of hard copy compared to a online when you see. You can go back 3 pages and see it. Online, you'll always keep the next click, click, click. It's never the reverse click, rarely unless the internet hangs. So a hard copy is still something basic. It helps a lot. Otherwise, internet is also there to give you, but you never get to the depth of it. And always in the magazine, there is something in the front or the back which will give you some link as to where it has come from, who were the people behind it, or people who sort of envisaged it, constructed it. It needs, see, you need the full environment to build it up together. And that is where magazines sort of come up. Yours is one of them, and hopefully there'll be more, because steel is again slowly coming up. Otherwise, it's more as inserts into another magazine that you have to pull a snippet out of.
What challenges have you encountered when working with steel in your architectural projects, and how did you address them?
Okay, so with steel, what happens is two things. One, there are select set of structural consultants who are well versatile with steel. Otherwise, steel is not concrete; it doesn't work that way. So there are very few. You got most of them sitting here today, which is good. And the other problem with steel is workmanship, which you have very few people who understand how steel is and how to play with it, how to use it, how to reflect on it. And the bigger problem we face is we work out something in sizing with consultants and we say, okay, this is like a pipe, 100 dia pipe. Then we go to the vendors and they'll say, oh, we have this pipe, but the YST is different. So you have to go and redesign the full thing. It becomes bigger, it becomes bulkier, the junction doesn't work. so then scale goes off. Or they'll say we have instead of 100 NB, we've got 125 NB. Is it okay? It could be okay, but it's not okay. It doesn't work out like that, because there is beauty is in perfection. Sometimes we say, okay, let's do with 110, but then after fabricating the full thing, we realize, oh, at that corner it's not merging seamlessly, or the tie beam is got bigger than the main beam there, so you need a flange or something. These are the two main problems we face in steel. We rarely work with PEB. We prefer designing our own structures with the consultant rather than getting a ready-made PEB structure into it. It has advantages and drawbacks, but as designers, we prefer that. The clients who we work for also prefer that sort of language. And that is where we face this issue. So workmanship can be addressed over a certain period of time, but this material shortage, whether it's artificial or realistic, we don't know, but that is something which we faced all throughout from the last 20 years of steel, where can you use this? We have this. In steel you can't, in concrete you can't do that. So concrete is there, you make it, you do it. But in steel we face that a lot.
So did you try to address these?
We try to address it, both talking with the direct manufacturers, everything. And to a certain extent, yes, they'll say, okay, in our next cycle we'll make it, or 3 months, or we have somewhere in Rajasthan, we'll get it from you from there. Some clients wait, some clients will not wait. It always also is a cost. So that is our main grouse against the steel industry to speak of. Otherwise, no issues at all. Steel it's part of the symphony.
So what is your opinion on the future of steel in architecture, considering the emerging technologies and sustainability trends going on?
See, steel will come into it. Both concrete will come down a little bit because steel will take its place. Steel has got more versatility, certain benefits. Nowadays we are going more vertical in steel also. Prefab is also an element in steel which will come up a little bit more. Compared to prefab in concrete, prefab in steel is much more versatile. Prefab in concrete is still too many parameters it fails in terms of modulation of structure and all. But prefab in steel is still better. Steel, again, once usage comes up, people will invest more and make more raw material. Once that is there, it's like a full cycle. So one thing boosts up, everything will come up along with it. It's like you have planes, you have to make airport to land the planes. So it's something like that. So it's a cat and mouse as of now. They're still trying to catch up, but yes, steel will come up. People will understand the benefits of it. Currently, steel is a little bit elitist to speak of. Either it's right down for the industry, or it's something you have to be, it's an expensive material which you can use for show. In some time, hopefully, some less than 5 years, hopefully, it should become a material for the masses. That is.
So are there any specific projects or areas within the steel construction industry that you hope to explore in the future? Perhaps going modular?
We would be going more for infrastructural elements, for verticality in steel, composite use of steel with concrete. Those are the elements which will sort of have to be explored more and understood and got into mainstream as we go into the future.
So one final question, what is your take on today's event?
Much better than expected, much better. I was a little skeptical at 11 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning how much people would be there. Though I knew Mr. Balkulkarni had given me a little insight and on that. So, but well managed, and you got a nice turnout, and you got a mix. See, if everyone is an architect, or everyone is a structural designer, or everyone is a contractor, you won't have that integration. It will be more of a one-track mind. This is somewhere where you can actually network and collaborate, which I think is a plus. I've gone for other things, so that's how I can compare and tell you. The first thing when I came in, I think I came in at 10, and the hall was full, which was wow. And the work had started. Because I thought I'd be here by 9:45, but nice. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, sir. May I just take